it was developing there, right? If we had not got the subsidized Ola rides, this year Ola would not have made 100 crore of profit, right? The reality of any VC business or any of these kind of businesses is, till the time it sees a tremendous amount of profit, someone has to pay for it, and because someone is paying for it, over next 10 years I'll be able to return their capital, right? So any VC has to have a long-term perspective, right? Any VC has to look at it from the perspective of what is the technology change that I am bringing in, right? Today, can we imagine our life without Ola or Uber? Not. But could we, can we have Ola or Uber without someone ridiculously valuing those companies at some point of time? Answer is not. So we were lucky. Some foreign money got into us. Some pensioner in US paid for our rights. Let's be happy about it. But that may not continue going further, right? So that's what entrepreneurs should run.
Absolutely, sir. I fully agree with what you're saying. Let me see what does Mr. Amitabh think about it. Sir, to you, we have all read and heard about the subprime crisis. You've been a part of the Lehman Brothers, and I'm sure you have a better idea than what we have about the subprime. Do you see it happening again? The reason I'm asking is, let's look at some of the examples that I have out here. We have Byju's, we have the cryptos, we have the Ubers, the Swiggy's, the Zomatos. Valuation, how about funding? Where do you think this is actually going? Do we see subprime affecting again, or?
No, yeah, that's a very good question. Subprime was one of the crises very specific to the US based on their lending patterns. We don't have that pattern here. So, but still the fact is there is a difference between the value and the valuation. And that is actually a fair difference. There is nothing wrong, there is no gapla behind it. Value is what a customer or a consumer perceives as value. So I perceive this value of a phone as 50,000 rupees because that's the utility I gain, versus valuation is of the company which is based on the future earnings. That's how in finance people write. Based on future earnings, you take some sort of a guess that in the future Adani is doing very well, so I'm going to pay 100 times today's earnings because the future earnings will be 10 times more. So that is how valuations change, and that is why the little bit of a mindset change, the valuation drops. So we are a very matured market. India is a very matured market and very well-regulated market. In the US market I think is less regulated, and people there, and that is a mindset, because he mentioned that I work for Lehman Brothers. The mindset of people there, I think we are very original people. So even if my boss is telling me, I'm not believing it. I'm always questioning. Most Indians are always questioning. Even the security guard or a courier guy will question, no, if you send it tomorrow morning, it will be better because it will be cheaper for you, etc. They will say. But in the US, people are very robotic about it. I have seen my investment banking friends, my analyst friends, they're all following the same herd. Somebody says this is good, the next guy says it's good, the next guy says it's good, and everybody starts saying good, and then boom, you have a subprime crisis where nobody believed it's to be false anywhere. But I think in India, we are extremely open and intelligent about things. We are constantly analytical, so I don't see that situation. The reason we have a banking crisis in our country was not because of people's minds, it's because of political corruption. So if that seems to have gone away to some extent, so now the lending, etc., is allowed by the bank, they're using their judicious methods, etc., etc. So, did I forget your question?
You have answered, sir.
Okay, good.
So you want to take on it? Yeah.
I just want to add one thing. I think I suggest one thing, right? I request one thing, right? So I think there is no reason why we should be negatively worried about the Indian startup ecosystem, right? I'm not saying what we have done is amazingly good. In fact, if there is someone who will criticize it a lot, it's me. No. The one is it should be proud. There are a lot more things that we need to get better. For example, our ability to innovate is still not there here. Okay, most of the companies are transaction-based. We dependent on the Indian consumers, etc. There is still a lot way to go. There is a lot of opportunity for us to innovate. That's where we started discussion, right? The level of kind of innovation that we see going further is different, right? We'll not have the app, we'll not have the marketplaces. It will be the fundamental technologies. But as much as we can do much, much better, we can be really proud after, let's say, after in 2047. But nothing should take away what happened in last 10 years in terms of all the great startups that we saw, are the first 100 unicorns that we have, right? If not anything, lot of those people who made money are the guys who are investing into the startups today, startups of tomorrow, right? I just want to always set this thing right, that we need to be happy about whatever has happened. No point in seeing that everything as a glow.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Sri, but your take on value versus valuation. As an economist, from economist angle, we have seen what the technologist and the VC thinks about it.
Nobody should treat me as a doomsday player. No. But I tell you one thing. In 2008 global financial meltdown, how we solved it? There were actually penicillin, medicines in the hands of Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. One is interest rate was at zero. Interest rate was at 4.25%. He brought down the interest to zero, number one. Second one, quantitative easing. I think most of you remember the great statement of Ben Bernanke, I will drop dollars from the helicopter. The most confidence-giving statement. At that time, believe me, $2.8 trillion of money was released just by quantitative easing, without giving any, just print and give it, something like that. Yes. Entry. Like for common man, when economists, these people are known for making the things more complicated. That is the reason I want to put it in as much simple as possible. That's the reason. These were the two factors that solved the problem. Now, coming back to right now, entire world, the real problem is debt. You name one country which don't have problem. Problem under debt. The real crisis is there. Most of the countries, they are not in a position to service the loans. This is the real crisis. When the next crisis comes, do we have any solutions with us? The quantitative easing has created more the problems than the solutions. This is the real crisis, sir. Mark my words. I don't say when, but in a matter of couple of decades maximum, there will be real crisis. Real andre it cannot be solved. Mara ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಹತ್ತೀರಾ ತುದಿ, then you have to come down once. Then only. That level crisis will come. How to solve it, I should not talk. So, the real, sir, including America, to the last Z, all countries are having debt crisis. No one knows how to solve it. I have to come to power. I will give subsidies, I come to power. How we will give it? Not out of earnings, by borrowing. If I cannot borrow, I will print it. Once again, quantitative easing. It is a cyclical crisis. The value of the currency goes down. Where it will end? If not today, tomorrow, may not be 2027, 2037, something like that, the real crisis will come. Because the present solutions, what they have created, quantitative easing, that itself has become a problem, boss. Now already, suppose in the next I think maximum 1 year, they will bring down the interest to zero. When the crisis comes, what will you do? Where will you take the interest further down? These are the real problems. So, valuation. See, market, you are speaking about financial market. I put it this way. What is financial market? It is a one intelligent man trying to outsmart another intelligent man. That's all. Nothing other than that. My answer may look a little harsh.
No, sir, you're absolutely right.
In front of the students, I want to be really... but this much I tell you, friends. See, the next 25 years, speaking about India, I will take another...
Yes, sure, sir, sure.
The next 25 years is most important for India. Most important. In such a way, the wealth that you are going to create in the next 25 years, I repeat this, the wealth that you are going to create in the next 25 years is much, much more than what all the three generations of post-independent 75 years, that is from 1947 to 2022 we have created. And you are capable of solving the problem thanks to disruptive technologies. The entire world is looking at India because you are the growth engine of India, and in turn, India is going to be the growth engine of the world. This is I tell you one thing. All of us, we faced Corona crisis. Most of us remember, anyone other than this Narendra Modi had been Prime Minister, the nation would have sunk. I think all of you remember. Shall I take another 2-3 minutes? Yes, please. You might have heard about Spanish flu. 1.7 crore people died at that time. Oh, that was official. Unofficial figure is 2.5 crore people. What was the population? 24 crore. 10% of the people died. And Spanish flu is not much as serious as coronavirus. Look, had we not found the vaccine, the same thing would have happened to India. How much Pfizer wanted? $100. For 250 crore, you needed $250 billion. Nation would have become bankrupt. Number one. Second, how much time you would take? 10 years. Not in millions. Crores of people would have died. For the first time in the history of independent India, this nation succeeded in discovering a vaccine for a pandemic. 2 vaccines for coronavirus. We succeeded because of that. And these things are done by startups. Of course, that is a big company, but I'm telling is this discovery and these things are done by young people, not by people like me. That is why I have highest faith, highest confidence in the younger generation. For the first time in the history of India, friends, 2G, 3G, 4G, all of you are happy because 5G, in my, what you call mobile, 10 times higher speeder I get. No, that is the minor benefit. The real benefit is, for the first time, India has changed from technology importer to technology innovator. We were importing 2G, we were importing 3G, we imported 4G. For the first time, we are actually innovated 2G. And it is done by Indian startups. In 2016, there were 471 startups. Today, as on December 2022, there are 80,152. I repeat this data, 80,152 startups, thanks to people like you. It is all done by young entrepreneurs. And soon, maybe in another 2-3 years, we will be the startup capital of the world. Nobody can beat India because our people are having disruptive technology. This world will be controlled in the next maximum 3-4 years, sir. The next 3-4 decades, it will be controlled by digital technology. Digital world is actually facing 4 major transitions, sir. Number 1 is digital transition. Second one is energy transitions. Third one is demographic transitions. Believe me, one more, I think that it is, you put it rightly, I tell you,
Globalization.
it is deglobalization. You can call it a supply chain transition. You may be surprised to know, in all these challenges, including America, they are having problems in at least in two transitions. India is the only country in the entire world which is advantageous. All these transitions are advantageous to India, all these. So we have to grow, and we will grow, not because of Vishwanath, but not because of our Gopinath. It is because of you, younger generation. You should be proud of it. So you are capable, I say. That's all I can tell.
What a passionate answer, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for that answer. Madam, one last question to you. Yes. I'm sorry, okay, eating up into your time. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you, I was in Madam's chamber for about 45 minutes talking to her, and then she raised an issue. I thought I should also ask her that question out here, so that you will also get to know from an administrative and from a mother's angle what she thinks about a certain issue. Madam, a conservative family structure, God-fearing, traditional way of living, home-cooked food, etc. Do you see it coming, or we copy the West and go on? Now, for example, with more growth and we are trying to become a little more lonely, with lots of friends only on the media, more pets at home than people at home, loneliness is actually killing the families. Suppose you see a family household, father, mother, only 2 people sitting at home, children elsewhere. The loneliness that sets in is something unbelievable. The expression of such feelings is killing. Single parent, lots of old people, more old age homes, and I don't want to add a few things, just wanted to get something. Your take on this, madam. What do you see it happening by 2047? Are we still going to keep on copying the world or the Western? Or do we get back our own Vasudevi Kutakam? Namma family, namma jaga, namma mane, nan henti, nan maklu, family. Otke irana, otke kudan uta madodu. Yavat agatta, madam.
Progress and development with Indian characters intact is what will define us where we are in 2047. If we repeat the same mistakes which the Western world did, then it is not worth even talking about it. Okay? Home cooked meals, as Sir told, we have Western world today has one of the highest incidents of cancer. Their health problems are huge. Their meat, as Sir has told, comes processed with lot of chemicals. So it's hardly any worth, any nutritional value. So if we want to go in the same way as the West to achieve the development levels of West, then let us not talk about it. We are better off now. We are better off ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಉಪ್ಪಿನಕಾಯಿ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅನ್ನ ತಿಂದರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಅವರವ್ರ ರೂಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಪಾಯಸ ತಿಂದರೂ ಸೇರಲ್ಲ. So let us be, we have to be together. The structure of a family, the values, they are what define us. If you remove that basic definition, what is the definition of an Indian? It is the ancient wisdom that we have, the values. When we are talking about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it is that I respect every human being. Entire world is related to me in some way. That is one thing. And when the entire world is related, why is not your own family related to you? So let us not ape the West, either in terms of dress, food. We can taste everything. I am telling like Gandhiji told, I will let the winds of all over the world, I am not quoting him verbatim, so the winds across the world are welcome into my home, whereas I experience them and straight true to my roots. Okay? So I was in US for 2 years, I wore jeans. Come back to India, I wear my sari, I wear my salwar. This is what, any function there, I would wear my sari proudly. Because that is what defines me. Knowingly or unknowingly, we have a certain basic structure of thinking. The moral education which we have got tunes us in our ways which we don't know. But when you see somebody who is totally different, you realize what is this? Like I went to US, I rented a house, another of my friend, he was also in service, he was a man. So I had gone with my son. He told, he rented a place, but it was not available. The place was not safe for him to stay. So he told, look, I can't stay here. If I stay here, I'll be killed. So I have to go back. So what immediately I did is, okay, look, don't go. I have a 2-bedroom house. My husband is yet to come. Just talk to my husband. Stay here for 3-4 days till you find a different accommodation and go. It is natural. It happened naturally. There was not such much thought process. And then when we met in the college again, one of my friends, another friends asked, okay, he's staying with you. Did you ask him to share the rent? In US, it is practical. If you want to stay in my house, I'm paying this rent, you share the rent. The idea didn't come to me. I just told, okay, come stay. You just talk to my husband. Tell him, we know your situation, just stay. Okay? So similarly, and the friend, he was so well behaved. Like he would get his food, he would cook for some time, half an hour in the morning, he told, Madam, morning I will wake up by 6 o'clock, finish whatever I have to cook, I will clean up the dishes, and then you can please come. Okay? So the respect which we have for each other, the culture, these we have to keep it intact, and the responsibility of this is in the younger generation. Unless you keep this Indianness in you, ನಮ್ಮದು ನಾವು ಕೆಳಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರ್ದೋ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. The hills yonder are always smooth. Grass looks greener on the other side always, but it is not always the same. Okay? So I don't want to be totally like US. US has its own sets of problems. That kind of individualism will not be possible in India, and neither is it feasible. In India, when you marry a family. In US, you marry the person. That's the difference.
Absolutely fantastic, madam. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Tulsi Mujineni has a Government of Karnataka assignment. She has to leave. And madam, this is Mahalakshmi and Deepa for you. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. We are very happy attendees from Madam to welcome you to our place. Thank you so much.
It's a privilege. I got to meet some very good people.
Thank you so much. Hello. Get into a little more technical sense. Sri Vishwanath Bhatt has another assignment. He has to give a talk in another place. So before he leaves, I like to ask him, a question on something which will interest all of us, the purely economics-based question. Sir, as of now, we all know that Russia and its Ukraine crisis had trouble with the ruble. Ruble got into serious trouble because SWIFT from Belgium or Brussels did not want to ensure that the rupee or the ruble could be traded. In 25 years' time, do you actually see the rupee being an alternative to either the dollar or the euro? And how do you actually see it happening?
The greatest lesson the world learned from Russia-Ukraine crisis is one country cannot trust another country. This is the greatest lesson. Look, SWIFT is an international networking that belongs to NGO. All the countries and all the international financial institutions, 11,000, you know better, 11,000 financial institutions of 200 countries. They were actually using SWIFT network for their international transactions. I repeat once again, SWIFT is an NGO supported. It is a private network transfer agents. Now, what traits? It should treat all countries equally. What traits SWIFT had got to jam the transactions of Russia? You know what is the impact? Same thing can happen to India another day. If we actually get if we reach some misunderstanding with Russia, not Russia, America, let me tell you one thing. 62% of our all email accounts, it is all with Google. By jamming the Google and by jamming the SWIFT, entire India can be brought to a halt. Yes or no?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That is what I am worried. So the situation has come, either you become a subservient to America, just like we were the colonies to British, you be